You're watching the Ship on Day One Field Guide. I'm Hans. Let's get ship done. You're probably watching this video because you're interested in optimizing your test automation and your tests. And as software developers, you and I know that there can be a point when you've already done all of the easy stuff and now we need to shift gears and move on to the harder stuff. So I want to share with you two of the ways that I've managed to optimize tests in the past, and hopefully they'll be good for you. The first way is looking at how your code is structured and looking at restructuring it into a way that makes it easier to test. The nice thing about this restructuring is by breaking down our code and making it easier to test, normally our code becomes drier, easier to maintain, as well as more modular and therefore easy to extend in the future. What we do is we normally start by looking at pieces of our code that might be more monolithic. This might mean that within a single file, we're doing a lot of things. Every time we're doing one thing relatively well, we want to be abstracting that thing out into its own function. And that allows us to attach some tests to that file in particular. Oftentimes the basis of our code is going to be a series of imports of libraries that we're using, frameworks and skeleton coding that we're setting up. Because the frameworks that we're leveraging oftentimes have high test coverage, especially if they're coming from the open source community, it generally doesn't make as much sense to focus on tests that try and tease apart all of the nuances of that structural portion of our code. Instead, what we want to do is focus our time writing tests for the business logic that's very custom and very special to the software that we own and that we're writing. Luckily, by abstracting our code out into functions, it becomes more easy to write unit tests as well as integration tests for those portions of code in specific. As part of this, the second thing that you should be thinking about is making sure that your unit tests are true unit tests, that they have no network or database dependencies. A good way to do this is by using spies, stubs, and mocks in order to make sure that you're able to say, hey, at this point your code is probably calling out across the network. Just assume it's made that call, and here's the result that you should run the rest of the test with. By stubbing out results, you're going to be able to run your unit tests significantly quicker, and that'll make them more likely to be run by your team, as well as less prone to failure in case a contingent service goes down. By keeping these two milestones in line, you'll be able to create more optimized test cases and move through from writing just the easy tests to also testing the more persnickety and harder to maintain portions of your software. In order to learn more about measurement as well as scaling out tests, look for our other videos on shipondayone.com where we talk about test automation in some other areas in order to ship more software. Thank you.